Alright guys, in this video I'm going to show you a preset I've made before. This has some intricate routing options that you may want to be aware of, and I'm going to show you the ins and outs of what that does. So we're going to hit the F1 switch here, and we're going to go back a bank. And we have a lot of different options in here. I really can't remember which one I want to use, so let's go in and do some discovery stuff here. So it's the end of the chain that I want you to see what I'm doing. A lot of times you could be recording straight to an interface, or you're sending your signal direct to front of house, and that's what I'm using back here on the unit. Is I have two XLR cables coming out of the XLR outs going into two different inputs on my interface, and that can also act like I'm sending my signal to the front of house guy at a venue when I'm playing with a band. But I do have a looper in this preset, and if I hold F2, that gets me into my looper mode. So that gives me some flexibility when I want to practice on my own. But I do have the loop at the end of the chain, but if I have it anywhere earlier in the chain, then it's not going to capture the whole rig itself. So I want to make sure I have it toward the end so I can capture everything that's in this preset. But you can see that I have my amp way over here, and I have my cab at the very end. And this is very important, because what can happen is I essentially have two different outputs. And from the looper to the cab, I have a virtual cable. But also from the looper down to a fixed loop, I have a virtual cable. And this is essentially splitting the signal path. So earlier in the series, when we went over the ins and outs and the face of the unit, I told you there was an output 1 and the output 2 with the effects send. So what this allows me to do is I can send a full signal straight to front of house, but I can tap the effects loop send on the back of the unit, and I can send that to an amplifier, whether that's the effects return of an amp or using an actual power amp and a cab on the stage. So that gives you a little bit of flexibility for some stage volume. So I have a Boss Katana behind me, and I'm going to throw a screenshot on the screen right now of that setup. And what's cool about this amp is that it has a power amp in, which essentially means I'm bypassing the preamp section of the amp itself, and I'm just using the power amp. You can also use the effects return of any amplifier that has that capability, because it has to have an effects loop. But I'm going to do some playing and actually go back to my foot switch. And I'm going to switch between some different options, and I'm going to swap between my direct sound going into the computer and then the amp sound that you're going to hear from my vocal mic just picking up in the room. So if you have any further questions about this kind of setup, be sure to leave a comment down below. And if you're interested in seeing more videos in this series, be sure to check the links in the description. Until next time, I'm Dr. Mcfarland, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep rocking.